Hi, welcome to the Shiko SAT review series. And in this video, we're going to start a new topic, statistics. In the statistics, there are two areas we will be focused on. And so the first area we're going to talk about the statistics will be based on we're going to take a look at the distributions and the different summary statistics, what they mean. Then the second unit about the statistics, we're going to talk about the probability. So we are in the first unit about the statistics. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what are the mean, medians, mode, range, variance, standard deviation, and also we take a look at distribution. Is like a symmetric, skew to the right or skew to the left. We talk about the mean, median, mode, variance, standard deviation. If you look the formulas, some of them looks quite complicated. So for the most of the SAT problems related to the statistics, most of them they are the concept problems. They usually very rarely will ask you to use your TI-84 calculator to calculate some value. Probably the things they will ask you to calculate are probably something easy like mean and range, and the variance and standard deviation is a little bit more complicated, but there are some type of the problems there and for the concept. Okay, so before we are going through our worksheets, we are going to do a review about what are those summary statistics here. And then we are going to, it's very important. So we need to have a good idea of what are those things, and then you'll be able to answer the questions here, okay? So the first thing is we're going to take a look at the summary statistics. We have a few summary statistics. Okay. So we divide it into two bigger areas. So first one's here, we said is the center. And the other one is we talk about is the spread or the variation. How much is the variation? So the center, that means where could be the center of your data, right? So in here from the center points, we are talk about, we have like three different, the center summary statistics here. And here we go. So we're going to have three different center statistics, and then we're going to also take a look at three different ways to evaluate the spread and the variation. Okay, so for the three center measurements, first ones here we talk about is the mean, and we talk about is the median, then we talk about is mode here, okay? And the way we evaluate the spread, we have three things. We say it's range, and we have variance. Then we call this the standard deviation. Okay, so let's first take a look at the mean. What is the mean? So the mean basically, if you use the term everybody know, we say this is the what? This is the averages here. Okay, so let me give you an example, then you will know what is the means here. So if I have a data set here, right? So let's say it's a 2, 3, 3, 4, and 7, 9, and 9, 9, all right? And maybe let's have like the 11 here. Okay, so what is the mean, right? So mean just say, hey, this is my data. I'm just averaging it. So you will see the notations here. Sometimes they will use the notation. This notation is a summation of the x divided by n. So don't get scared by this term. This is what we call it a summation. That means you add all those numbers together and then see how many you have. See here, right? So this one is 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 and da 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 all the way plus 11. So how many you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you divide it by 9 here, right? So you add all of the 9 together and then you divide it by 9. So that's what is we defined as mean here. All right. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so if you put it into your calculator, just add them together, you will get about 6.3. Okay, so that's what we mean the average. So don't get scared by those mathematical terms. And then what is the median? So median, that means the middle one. Okay, so after you arrange the data from the smallest to the largest. Okay, so that's what we talk about is the median. That means if you put your data, you ranked it or you ordered it from the smallest to the largest, then your median one will be the middle one. So like this data set here, I already ordered it, right? So if you take a look for here, so if you take a look, what is the middle ones here? So you will see, okay, total I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, 8, 9, so this is 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the middle one will be the fifth one, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be my middle one. Right? So that is my what? That is my median. So it's pretty straightforward, right? So medians here is equal to the 7 is the middle one. So how about somebody will say, hey, how about if I have even numbers of the number values data? So where is the middle one? So where is the middle one? Then you just average the middle twos, right? So that's what is the medians here. So what is the mode here, right? So I'm going to erase the spread part. I need more space in here, all right? So the mode, the way we defined the mode here is it will be, we said the mode here, right? So it's the most frequently happen one. Okay, so if you take a look at this data, so what is the mode? That means that a certain number happen have the highest frequencies. That means happen the most frequently. So which number is the most frequent one? Hey, it's 9, right? Because 9 happened 3 times in this data set. So that's why I know the mode here will be nice here. Okay, so that's what happened. We talk about the center. So it is the measure, the distribution of center. So mean is just the average. The median is the middle one, and then the mode is the one happen most frequently. Okay, and what type of the problems going to happen in the SAT? So sometimes they will give you a very simple data set. They want you to find the mean. All right, so then you can just add them up and divide by how many. So that's one type of the problem. The second type of the SAT problem about the mean, the most frequently is they were given the mean value. Okay, so they were given the mean value, and then they will, so like in the data set, right? So given data set, in the data set, there is a missing value. Then I want to find the missing value. Okay, what I mean, so for example, like they will give you, they say, hey, you know, like if I have this number is mixing, I have a 3, 4, 11, 2, right? So they will tell you, say, hey, the average, the mean of this data set is equal to 5. All right. So they say, hey, the mean of this data set is equal to 5. They want to find what? They say, hey, what is the value of x here? All right. So for these ones here, so they say the mean equal to 5. So the way they want you to do, they try to test you is, hey, the mean is 5. That means you add all these numbers together should be equal to how many? What is the number? 25, right? So will be the mean times the ends, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a 5. So that's why it's the mean times the n will give you the summary. So you know the total. You add these 5 numbers together will give you 25. So now you can find that the missing value will just be 25 minus 3 minus 4 minus 11 minus 2. So that's what one type of the problem for the means here. All right. So that's frequently, you know, they will want you to, you know, to use this information. Then the median, typical, the median number, you know, so what type of the problem, you know, the SAT will give you for the median. See here. So the medians, based on the definition, is you just rank it from the smallest one to the largest ones, right? So you say, hey, this is, I ranked it, right? So I ranked it from the smallest. So this is the smallest one to the largest ones, right? And then the median will just say here, hey, I'm finding the middle ones here, right? So this is the middle one. So this is the median. Okay, so two kinds of the problem for the median. Most likely it will happen in the SAT. The one is the first kind that they will give you frequencies. What's that mean? So they will say, hey, you know, for some number here, like this would be 3, it happened 2 times, this is the frequencies here. Okay, so this like this is a number of the hours you study, so maybe here. So then for the people study 4 hours, then maybe it's 3, 5 hours, it's 2, 6 hours, it's 1. Okay, something like the 7 hours and other ones here, right? So they will give you a frequency. So they say, hey, what is the median? So you hear that means you know they already ranked it here. So you count the total is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 9 numbers here. So you know your median going to happen where? The fifth ones, right? So you know your median going to happen in the fifth ones here. So that's why your medians here is equal to 4. Okay, so this is one kind of a problem, and it happens pretty frequently in the SAT exam because they want you to understand what is the median mean. That means I don't really care you know, what is the exact value. It's just like the middle ones here. So like in here, they are started from the smallest one. So what is this means here? So if you write it out, this frequency basically tell you is 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, right? 4. Then this is a 5, 5, right? Then it's a 6 and a 7. So that's why the medians is where the middle ones here, right? So they give you a frequency table. Then the same way from the frequency table, you can find the mode, right? So the mode is the most frequently happen. Okay, so the other type of the problems for the median will be, so they give you this data and then they say, hey, something wrong. So I will replace, for example, I'm going to replace this number. So what is the median will be? So you said the largest one used to be like 78. Now I replace it with 90. So what is the median going to be? No change, right? Because I don't care, you know, what is all the other values. I just care about the order, right? So that is what we talk about the medians and the mean and on the modes here, okay? So also there's one, also is quite frequently happen, the problems here, they said, if your distribution, right? So if this is your distribution, if you do a histogram, all right? So if you do your, if your distribution is very symmetric, okay? So if this is a symmetric, then most likely your mean is equal to median. So it's kind of obvious, right? So here the center will be the mean and also will be equal to the medians here. How about, if you have some distribution is like this, okay? So this type of the distribution, you see it as a tail, right? So we say this is kind of the skew to the right. Okay, so if this is a skew to the right, and then your median will be in here. And your mean will be in here. So if for the skew to the right, mean typical will greater than median because you have those large value at the tail, so exaggerate or inflated your means here, right? Okay, so the same way is here. If you have a distribution like something like this, okay, you have a long tail to the left. So this type of distribution we call this is skew to the what? Skew to the left here. Okay, so if skew to the left here, so then here is your medians, right? And then your typical, your means are going to be in here. So the mean will be less than median. So like some SAT problems, they will ask you, yes, like, so they will, tell you that, and then they will say which one is bigger. Okay, so then you need to know is this is a symmetric or is it skewed to the left and skewed to the right. Okay, okay, so now let's take a look the next ones here. The next one is we call it range. You find out how big the spread is, okay? So the first thing here we talk about is a range. The range is easy to define. So it's your max value minus your minimum value in your data set. You just take a look at the two extremes here. So like in here, so for example, if you have, this is your data set, right? So if this is your data set, okay, so what is the ranges here? So the range say, hey, I'm just going to take the largest value, smallest value, then this distance I call it is ranges here, okay? And now let's take a look at what is the variances here. Variances here, the formulas here, it will look like it's a summation x minus mean, so it's a mu, and to the n minus ones here, right? So, or some people instead of maybe let's so this ones here, they will say this is the minus x bar here to the square, right? Okay, so like I said, this formula is quite, kind of looks very complicated, right? And like the SAT, they're not going to ask you to calculate that because it takes forever, but you need to understand what is the meaning. So what is the meaning here is, for this data set, right? You're going to have a mean here. So for example, this is my mean, right? So the variance is a count, say how far away for each observation. So like this is the how far away, so this is observation. And so for each observation, they are away from the means here, okay? So then you squared it, so you see the total variation for each one, away from the means here. So you say, well, I still do not understand. Okay, so let's take a look in here, right? So if you have a distribution like this, okay, so this is one type of the distribution. If you have another distribution like this, okay, so this is my second distributions, right? Then I have a third ones here. So we just need to understand the meaning for it, right? Okay, so for all these three, the distributions here, right? So you will see here, they have the same mean. So their mean is all here, right? So their mean is all here. Okay, now if by just looking at it, so think about the variance is what we mean the spread, right? So it's how far away from the mean. So by looking for this three distribution, which one has the smallest variances here? This one, right? Because it is so tight around the mean. So this is what is the one have the largest variance? This one have the largest variance. Why? Because all the observations is so far away from the means here. So this one here is in the middle, right? So that means, it's between the smallest and the largest. So as you can see, the variance is really try to evaluate how far away, right? So how far away, like they are away from the means here, right? Okay, so then the next thing here is what we talk about is the standard deviation. So the standard deviation is the similar things as the variance. It's just the square roots of the variances here. Okay, so it's the same thing. We are evaluating the how far away the spread away from the mean. As you can see, the range is here, right? So the range, they only look at the largest one, the smallest one. They miss all the value in between here, right? So that's why the variances here is they use each observations, right? So that's why they use each observation, how far away each observation away from the means here. Okay, so this is a very kind of a very brief summary and review about the statistics part, about the distribution and the summary statistics, right? And I know some of you might already forgot about that, so I strongly encourage you, review this, review what we just did, and make sure you understand that. Okay, so now let's go to the worksheets and let's do a few problems, and we will need to divide this into two videos here. Okay, like I say, most of the problems here, they do not really want you to, put into your calculator, get it. Okay, so the first things here, they say the table above show the two lists of the number. Which one following the true statement about the list A and B? So when you do the SAT exam, so first thing you glance through the problem, then you find the key word, mean and the standard deviation. So this is belong to the statistic areas, right? Okay, so now in here, one way you can do it, I don't know how good you are at the TI-84. You can put those numbers into the TI-84 and then find the average and the standard deviation, use the function. But that's not the purpose, of this, of these tables, right? So we know the mean is you add them up and then divide by the number. So they both have 6 numbers. Okay, so if you take a look, okay, if you take a look at these two, both A and B, they are the same values here, right? So then if you take these two, 5, this one is 1 less than 5. And this one is 1 less than, 1 less than 6, right? So here, both these two is 2 less, right? 2 less than the A list. But if you take a look here, this is 1, 2, then this is 2, 3. So what happens here? So this 2, the list B has 2 more. Okay, so that's why they cancel. So that's why if you add list A will be equal to your add list B, right? If you add them the same, then the mean will be the same, correct? So I know I can cross out this one is not the truth. So that's why, like I said, they don't really ask you to put it into the calculator. It's just you watch this observation. It says 3 and 4, 3 and 4, they are the same. But the 5, 6 here, then the B is, each one is 1 less, so total 2 less. But for these two here, B, each one is 1 more, so it's total 2 more. So they cancel each other out. That's why I know the A is equal to B. All right, so that is why, so I can cross out. Now the standard deviation. Let's take a look at what is the standard deviation means here, right? Okay, so here, okay, so for list A, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So A, each one have one single values, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is 1, right? So the list A, each one, so has 1 readings, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's take a look at list B here, right? So the list B, okay, so let me get which color is it? Okay, this color, 2, right? So list B have 1, 2, right? So 3, how many 3? 1, 2. So 2 3s here. So list B is like here. How many 4 here? Hey, 2 4 here, right? And the ones what? 1 5. See here, this is list B, my blue ones, right? And my black ones here is the list A's here, right? So just like we talked before, so which one has tighter distributions? The blue one, because they only have 4 different bars. Then the list A is spreading out more. So which one has the smaller standard deviation? The standard deviation of what? B is smaller, right? So that's why, and what is the answers here is the A's here. They say the standard deviation are different. That's correct. Then the B's, they say standard deviation are the same. So that's not true. So the A is the numbers here. All right, so this is a problem number 1. Like I said, they don't really want you to put it into the calculator. If you are fast and you can put it into the calculator, you can do that. And but in here, if you just look at the data, you should be able to get it. Okay, now let's take a look at the second one here, right? The second one, they said, hey, I have 5 numbers here. Okay, so this is like the one I told you. This is a very typical problem for they want you to find the mean. So let's say if the mean of this 5 number is 1600, what is the value of x here? So basically the mean we say is the summation. You add all them together divided by 5, right? So the 1600 is equal to what? Is equal to 5 is 700 plus 1200 plus 1600 plus 2000 plus x, right? So you add all this and then, you divide by 5. So how do you find the x here? So the x will be equal to the 1600 times 5. Then you minus the 700 minus 1200 minus 1600. minus 2,000. So what is the answer here? It's 2,500 here. Like I said, this is the one very, very common, right, type of the problem. They give you the mean and they want you to find the missing numbers here. All right, let's take a look at number 3 here. Okay, so the number 3, let's say, let's say another keyword that you find here. Let's say the mean score of A players was 14.5. Okay, so that's the average of the 8 players is the 14.5. So let's say if the highest individual score is removed, okay, the highest one is removed, and the mean score of the remaining 7 become 12 here. What is the highest ones here? All right, so when you try to do this type of problems, right, like we said, so I have A scores, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the 8 scores, right? So I average, if you average, it's 14.5. So what is the total for this 8? So will be 14.5 times 8, right? So when you add them together, divide by 8 will give you the average. So correct? So I know after this one, so the total, if you add these A players, right? So it's 116 here. Now let's say, hey, you know what I'm doing here? I'm going to remove the highest one. So that means my new score, I only have 7 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the 7 players, I only average is 12. That means you add these 7s, right? So it's 12. Now how many here is 7? So it's 84, right? So, you know, this 84 here, right? So this 84 is the one without this number. It's with this number, total is what? Is 116. And without this number, total is what? Is 84. So what is the highest score I removed here? So what is the highest score I removed? Will be equal to what? 116 minus 84, right? So it's 32 here. So it's a part C here, right? So that's why I said when the mean problem, this is one of the most commonly type of the problems here. So if you draw the picture out, and then I think you will get it, right? Okay, so now, okay, so let's take a look here. Number 4 here. So let's highlight all the things we need to know. So let's say the maximum value of data set consist of 25 positive integer is 84. All right, okay, so what's that means here? That means I have a data set. This is, I don't know, and the total, this is 25, right? So then you tell me, hey, this is my largest one. So here, this is 84. Okay, so let's, now next sentence. A new data set consider of 26, all right? So like I know this one's here from here to here, total you have 25 data points, right? So 25. Okay, so let's say the new data set have 26 positive integer by including a 96 in the original data set. Okay, okay, so let's try to write it out. What that means here. So that means in the new data set here, right? So in here you still have your previous 28. You still have your previous 28. Now I'm adding a new one, and these new ones here, the numbers here, this is 96 here, okay, in the original data. Which following measure must be 12 greater for the new data set than the old data set. Okay, so be careful you read this one. So which of the following must be the 12 greater of the new data set for the original data set. Okay, so that means because I know the 96 to the 84 is 12 greater names, right? So let's say which measurements here. So the first thing is let's take a look. Will that be mean? No, right? Why is not mean? Mean is you average that, right? So the means here is 84, and so your average is 25. Now in here, you total have what? 26. So yes, you got a 96 more, but then, so this one's here, the 96 plus whatever previous here. So the 96 more to the 26, right? It's not 12 more. Okay, so I know it's not the mean. Okay, then the next thing here is that they say it's a median. Well, no, it's not a median neither. Why? Because the median will be, like we talked about before, the median will be somewhere like somewhere in the middle here, right? So this is the median. Now you add a number, so median going to change to here. So I don't know what is the median. So I'm not sure it's going to be, to be the 12 more. So is the range? Yes, it is the range. Why? Because, the reason why this is a range, because the range we say is the max value minus the mean values, right? So for the first data set, right? So the data one, the range is equal to 84 minus whatever is the minimum value. Then for the data set, number 2 here, the range here is 96 minus the minimum. Oh, that's pretty good, right? Because both of them minus the same minimum. So that's why these numbers here, right? So, but this is 12 more than 84. So this range is going to be 12 more than the data set range number 4. So C is the answer. So then let's say what happened to the standard deviation? So the standard deviation is square root of the variance. So we know the variance is the differences between each number to the means, right? And then you squared it, and then you add it. So in here, I don't know what is my mean after I add 26, and then the 96 to minus the mean, the square, and then divided by 26, definitely is not going to be 12 more here. All right, so that is why it's the ranges here. So this is a very good problem because they'll try to test your reading and you understand what is the definition for each summary statistics here. Okay, so now let's take a look at problem number 5 here. Then maybe we can take a break because then we're going to finish the remaining of the problem on the next videos here. Okay, so here is the number of the seeds in 12 apples. So each apple I count how many seeds, and then I graph it. So first let's recognize how do we read this graph. That means for the how many apples I have 3 seeds, I have 2 apples here, right? So how many apples I have 5 seeds, I have 4 apples here. Okay, so now let's say in here, let's say, hey, take a look here. So what is the following is closest to, which number is closest to the averages, right? So, average. That means I'm looking for the means here, right? Okay, so the mean is you add everything together. Okay, so I add everything together. 3 seeds, right? How many apple I have 3 seeds? 2. So total I have what? 6. Then plus, how many apples? I have 5 seeds? 4. So total how many seeds I have? 20. How many apple? I have 6 seeds. Is what? It's 1, right? So that's why I have 1, 6. How many apple? I have 7 seeds, 2 apples. So total how many seeds is 14. And how many apples I have 93. So total how many? 27. So this is the total number, what? Total number of seeds, right? Okay, then total divided by how many? Total, I have how many apples? I have 12 apples here. So if you get it, so you put it into your calculator, do a quick calculation, it's a 6.0. So the closestly will be the 6. Or, like in here, we know the average is basically is try to find the centers, right? So probably here will be a good way to the center, right? From these distributions here. If you want to guess, instead of you don't know how to do this one, if you want to guess, and that probably will be your best answer to guess. Okay, I think that's it. And this video has been long, so let's stop here. Then we will continue and finish the remaining problems regarding to the distribution and the summary statistic in our next videos here. All right, so that's it. And I hope you like statistics. This was fun. And so we will stop here. So it's nice to talk to you. You have a nice day. And let's talk again in our second video to finish the remaining problems. Okay, bye.